Merry Christmas from my teddy bear to you. Good morning. I'm by the Christmas tree this morning, and I have a little gift there in the green. I wrapped that up for my grandbaby, Carly Jean. I put some ribbon on there that is vintage. Woohoo! Vintage ribbon. I think that just made it beautiful. Just beautiful. And I made that ornament on my art studio. Picture of me and my middle child that I've spent quite a bit of time talking about. There's a nutcracker. Another homemade ornament. This one's homemade, but by someone else. I didn't make it. I made that one. Nope, I hung up some extra stockings yesterday. I made all those. Made them myself. Yep. And I made that pillow that's behind Mr. Teddy Bear. So see there? I am a little bit industrious. I'm a little bit of a tinkerer. I do like to make stuff all my life. You want to fight about it? Oh, and one more thing. Miss Chippy just got in her Chip chair. That's Miss Chip. Her real name is Chip. Okay, indecent. I can't show you on camera doing all that, lady. Me. Yeah, I call her Mama Kitty because she had 2 litters of kittens, and she was the best mom cat you've ever met in your entire life. She was a dreamy, wonderful, dreamy. Yeah, I'm talking about you. She knows it too. She's got kind of a little bit of a snooty, not snooty, but I don't know. She's just well aware of what a value she has brought to the earth. She's aware that she's awesome. Okay, enough of me being goofy. I needed to, or I wanted to rather, I have a video that I made yesterday that I have yet to put on the internet, and in it I've talked about my dad a little bit and where he came from in South Georgia, and I actually got a little bit of the information messed up, so I wanted to correct, because I said both of his parents did die when he was young, but what blah, blah, blah. I said he had a half sister, and that is also true, but the half sister was older than him, meaning that his dad had been previously married and his wife had died and he had remarried. So my dad and his brother were the children of his second wife, not the other way around. I think the way I had said it was like, that his mom had died and then his dad had remarried and had another child, but it was just the opposite, because his sister is oldest, or was. They're all now deceased. My dad had one half sister and he had one brother. Boom, that was their family. And my mom, there was 8 children. She was one of 2 daughters, and then she had 6 brothers. And so there's my family tree a little bit this morning. And bada boom, bada bing. And I wanted to talk about the fact that this is what stood out for me in re-listening to myself go droning on, and I got a little bored with myself. Okay, so if anyone out there gets bored with listening to me, no hate. Believe me, I understand. At some point, listen, this is how I've used YouTube, and I would encourage others. Yeah, we need people in our lives, and sometimes if they're not there in the reality, well, you can find people that are doing the exact same thing I'm doing, just posting videos. And so if it helps you along, at some point you will get to a point where you say, you know what, I need real people. I need a real life going on, and then I think you will find your way. That's what I'm still doing. That's why I said I'm a middle-aged lady trying to figure it out. Simple. That's all I got to say about myself. But when I said my dad came from Baker County, Baker, I was like, wait a second, that's what I keep trying to be, a baker. And I keep baking. I'm still baking to this day, even though I went through this whole thing with being convinced that sugar was my number one enemy and making me sicker than I was. And look, I understand at this point, if your body is in good shape and functioning as it should, you know, sugar is not like the devil, but you know, anything in excess is gonna, I don't want to say that bad F-bomb, but like, because I'm trying to clean up my act. Yeah, it can mess you up. And so caffeine as well. Alcohol. Blah, blah, blah. This is not supposed to be about vices. This is supposed to be about lices. No, life. My life, being a baker. Looking at a stand mixer. I used to have one that I took forever, not forever, but in my mind, I do take a long time to make up my mind about, especially when it comes to spending some money, girl, boy, man, sister, brother, child, whoever I'm talking to. And there were two color choices. I was at the Dollar General, and I said, I'm interested in getting another one of these, because the only thing I use right now is this cute little hand mixing device. You know, the old-fashioned beaters. My daughter found me some at a thrift store. I think they're called a Mix Master. They're ancient. I mean, they're from like 1950s, and I love it. And I like using it, but lately I've realized, you know, this thing is not going to be able to continue to keep up with the harsh demands I'm placing on it. And I hear the little motor trying to keep up with these batters that I'm mixing up. Long story short, I think you get the point. I think I get the point. We get the point. I think it might be time to invest in something to mix up my day. But like, this thing's kind of big. It's like a KitchenAid, only it's not $300, this particular version. And when I say it like that, it sounds like an excellent bargain. It's $65. It is made very, very much like the one I had picked out and used and bought from Walmart about 10 years ago. I bought, I wish I could remember what was the name brand, even though it's irrelevant. But anyway, it worked okay. I had some issues with it. Like, it didn't quite seem to, when you turned on the little mixer, it didn't quite grab everything. And so I was always having to like scrape the ingredients to get them to get together. And I don't think you have that problem with the KitchenAid, because I've watched too many videos of people using those jokers. Anyhow, that's a lot of explanation, but I do want to make a decision and either get that's the one I will get, or heck, I might just go find me another handheld device, because I enjoy using that as well, and it doesn't take up all the room in your house. And anyway, but maybe I should be planning for, that's what I put the roadblocks on. I should be planning for what, moving somewhere else, or just being a bakery. Like, there was a time many years ago, I was like legit, I was planning for how I was going to turn my home into a commercial bakery, and how I was going to have me a counter literally in the middle of my living room was going to be counter where you could display baked goods, and the house next to me was going to be demolished and become a parking lot. That could happen. It could happen. It could happen. I don't even want to drink coffee on this video, because you're going to think I'm a caffeine crazed maniac, and there might be a small bit of truth to that as well. You have to be a touch of crazy, really, to put yourself out there and, take risks that are actually going to bring you the rewards of being successful. And you have to keep at it way further than you realize. And if someone out there hasn't already told you this, I'm going to tell you this. And I hope you remember. I read a book, a signed, autographed book by Zig Ziglar. He was a motivational speaker from like 1980s. My dad liked listening to him. Well, at least I read the information before I got rid of the book. And really, he gave the example of an old-fashioned pump on a well back in the day before electricity, when you actually had to take your hand, put it on a little thing, up and down, pump, until you get some water coming up from the ground, way down in the ground. So it took a little while to get the joker primed. So what he used that as a good example, because he's saying, human nature is to give up, and you might have only had about 2 or 3 more pumps left on that thing. So you need to keep at it. Just keep at it. That's Mrs. Rhythm's good advice to you. And also, I got 2 awesome little angels. I want to share these. I'm getting off the topic, but this is not true. I gotta show this. You see that adorable little girl angel? Which actually, angels are not girls, okay? That's another piece of valuable information. That could be a boy in a choir robe with a little bird he's looking at his songbook. But this looks more like a lady, but she's got a wing broken. Got a gift in her hand. I love this ornament. They both came from the same place, and I'll tell you my story about where I got these 2 precious. Also, not just that, the nutcracker came from that thing, and I got a Santa Claus on my tree. I guess I'll show him too while we're at it. He's pretty old world looking. Looky there, Santa Claus. That's back when ornaments, hey, they took some. I'm not saying they don't make nice ornaments now. They do. I'm just stuck on nostalgia. I like thinking that everything was better back in the day, but that's always the truth. It's not the truth. So we got great things happening in the right now. Great things. You are a great thing happening in the now. You are. Now, I just got to tell the story, because another thing that happened back when I was driving around in my old black Acura car, I think I was, my daughter was still young, and we still was struggling. I was, in my mind mostly, like, how am I going to make it? Oh, all this bad stuff. And I was driving down this road in my neighborhood, and there was a box, and I think you could tell that there was an old Christmas tree poking out of it, and they had labeled the box. It said, "Free, Merry Christmas." And so I grabbed that box. There might have been 2 boxes. I know there was an old Christmas tree, which I did end up disposing of the tree, because it was just, I don't remember. It was not something I wanted. But the ornaments, it was like this person's entire collection of, it's like looking through someone's most prized possessions, in my opinion, like the memories, little homemade and old-fashioned, and like kids' names on the back and dates. And for real, it was like such a cool gift, and I loved it. And we used, my daughter was still so young, I made this little bowl full of those old-fashioned glass ornaments. Now, whatever happened to those? That's a great question. I don't know. But they had some of those, those classic balls. I do have, anyway, I'm getting way boring right now. I apologize. Boring. I wish I could just wrap up this story. Thank you, person who left your childhood memories and whatever. I don't know what happened to you. Did you come into money? Did you decide to quit celebrating Christmas? Or were you cleaning out some dead person's? That could be it. You don't know why things end up, tossed at the Goodwill or by the road. But I guess I've always looked at stuff as having value. And a lot of people don't look at their stuff that like it has really financial value, sentimental value, just value, and they don't have a problem tossing it. But me, I like to hang on to it. And it's been a struggle to know when it's time to, you can't become, there are hoarders out there, I know. I think the lady across the street from me might have a slight bit of a hoard going on just because I can see it through the window. There ain't no denying you got some crap piled up in at least one room in your house. It looks like it's time for a closet clean out of the grandest proportion. However, people get snakes in their damn head. I pray for these people. I'm not going to talk bad about them. I'm just going to put them on the prayer list and say, hey, that stuff isn't really your friend at this point. If you have rats living in there and, pests, it's time to let it go. Don't get to be one of those people that get on, and I enjoyed watching that show for a while. What's it called? Hoarders something. You can watch that on YouTube. Extreme Hoarders. I'll probably go back to it now that I've mentioned it just for my entertainment. But I did usually really get deeply involved with trying to figure out why do people get like that to start with. I think it has to do with, sometimes it's just pure selfishness. These people are completely selfish. And they don't understand how much they're causing themselves and others pain. But then again, maybe they have so much pain of their own that other people didn't understand. Because I was a borderline. I thought I was going to become a hoarder at one point, because I think the thing is, it's the absence of the people that you thought were going to be there. They weren't there, so you start focusing on your stuff. I'm about to break it down right now. Okay, we're going to cure hoarding disease right now. It started with me. I started saving all of my egg containers. Yeah, and once I started, I needed to keep going. I ended up with a stack. Nothing out, that's what I'm saying. It's all relative. I think I stopped right around 24. I might have had 24 egg containers. So once I got that many, then to me it's like, this stuff is reusable, recyclable, and I shouldn't just chunk it. That's the mentality of people with hoarding issues. Either I'm going to want it later, it's valuable to someone else, I just got to connect with the right person and give it to them or whatever, or I'm going to sell this, something makes you hang on to stuff. So I talked myself into putting those egg containers into the trash can. And believe me, I looked at them in there and I was like, are you sure this is the right thing to do? Egg containers. And I reached out to at least 2 different people and was like, oh, they have chickens. Maybe they can eat. But each one of them had something. They didn't need them. So this is just like, okay. So I have a mess right now in my art studio, and I don't know if I'll ever actually get that thing the way it needs to be so that I could go in there and make some fresh art, new art. Because you have to have you have to declutter your space enough so that you can think properly, honestly. And same thing with my fitness. I told my daughter I was going to get up this morning and start back on my fitness journey. I have zero plan how to get it done. So as soon as I hit the end button on this video, maybe, not saying for sure, maybe I'll just get right to work and do my old Tracy Anderson, which is hard. It's still hard, but I didn't care 10 years ago if it was, or it was more like 13 years ago, 12. I didn't care how hard it was. I was driven like an insane maniac that I was going to get myself in good shape. And I did it. So anyways, I guess I'm done rambling for today. If you got anything out of this, I wish you would give me a thumbs up. I know people ask. In fact, yeah, and subscribe. I don't need a subscription. I don't want anyone to subscribe to my channel, but I would like a thumbs up. And if you wanted to say hi or anything, that would be awesome. Truly. But today is Sunday. Today is December 7th. And it's a beautiful, beautiful ending to 2025. And I'm going to cherish every moment. And I hope you have a wonderful day.